Skirmish. We're doing a little core rules version 3.3.0 today, incorporating the latest updates. And I got to tell you, I don't know exactly what that means. I'm not a big one-page rules guy. Go check out Good Enough Gaming. They're pretty good. They follow all of the updates. This is the terrain we're going to be using. We got a swamp. That's dangerous. The stream is dangerous, except, of course, the bridge, and there's a ford right there. But it's pretty obvious. You guys know how this works. I will say this, though. For the centerpiece of the town, this orky statue that I got here from Alternative Armies, that's like a war trophy, let's call it that. This looks like a nice, pleasant little village in a town square with this thing in the center. I can't find any of my, fountains. So we'll just kind of slap a little excuse on there. It's a war trophy. This is a skirmish game, so we only need about 15 figures on a side. We're going to be doing Dark Elves versus the Goblins. The Dark Elves are led by a noble. He's got quality 3, defense 4, tough 3. He's a fast, furious hero. Oh, he's not fast. He does have blood sacrifice, which model up to 3 units within 12 inches at the beginning of the round get regen. Hey, that's pretty good. Remember, we're going to be playing at half scale. These are 15mm figures from a mix of manufacturers. I forgive me if I can't remember. Some of these guys are from Pendragon. Some of these guys are from, I want to say Rebel. No, not Rebel. It's Splintered Light, although Rebel does have some really good 15mm figures. We have 3 units of Raptor Knights. Each of these figures is its own unit. They do have Devour, Fast Impact. Devour means when it attacks in melee, roll a d6. Roll a die, and on a 6-up, the target takes 1 wound. Oh, whenever this model attacks in melee, roll a die. On a 6-up, the target takes 1 wound. So I think that means the cold lizard thing there gets to make an attack as well. We've got a unit of Corsairs. That's these fellas down here. They're fearless. They have stealth. Stealth means that enemies are at -1 when they're shooting at models from over 9 inches away. And then these boys over here are Dark Warriors, quality 4, defense 5. Yeah, all the guys on foot are quality 4, defense 5. The guys with the Dark Warriors here, they have 1 attack with counter. They're just holding spears. They do have a sergeant, guy with a blue fringe. He's a sarge. For the goblins, their goblin leader, he's a tough hero. So he's got the 3 wounds, and he is part of the Wolf Clan, so he is fearless, and he is fast, and he is an instigator. Once per activation before attacking, 3 other friendly units within 6 inches, in our case, may move by up to 3 inches. And then we've got 3, so we've got 1, 2, 3 units of Beast Riders. 1 unit has hand weapons, that's these guys with the swords. 1 unit has short bows, they've got a total range of 9 inches in our case. And then these guys with the big spears, they're the heavies, they've got AP 1. And, of course, they're all riding wolves. They're all fearless. These guys up front are a little different. I need to tell you about those wolves. Now, they are wolves. My goblins are nomads. Pure wolfy boys. And wolfie's just fine. The stats for these are cave beasts. I'm going with it. They've got rending. They've got 2 attacks. They call it boing. It just means that they're not fast, but they do get to move at the start of their turn. They instantly flip D3 plus 1 inches. So there you go. They all activate on one time. So we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units on the side of the goblins, and 3, 4, 5, 6 on the part of the Dark Elves. Am I missing anybody? Yeah, that goblin leader, he's got the heavy bite. I think the leader has dual hand weapons, so he gets 4 attacks, and a short bow. I bought both of those. He can shoot up to 9 inches with 2 attacks. And I think we're about ready to go. I need to roll a D6 for the number, it's actually D3 plus 2, so we'll roll it back here. I got a 5, so we're going to go with a total of 5 objectives. The resulting objective markers wind up being the ford, the bridge, this little gap between the woods. Remember, these are block line of sight and movement, and the woods themselves, they just limit movement to 6 inches total. The road approaching the town, and then way over here off on its own, objective number 5. For the deployment, I'm going to roll a D8. And the goblins are going to come on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's where they come on. The elves will come on the opposite. So we get a 1. The elves are coming on the road to the north. Alternating deployment is the order of the day. The goblins put their melee wolf riders on the left, boss in the middle, so we can instigate those 3 units. And then the shooty boys over here on the right. The Dark Elves responded by dropping their couple of their heavy hitters on the right as we look at it, boss in the middle, and then one more. So I think the idea is we can go seize number 5, drive those guys off, and sweep around and grab number 2. I think this is going to be a really quick one today. Right, so boss over here, and then we've got one more knight. Here's our stealthy boys who can sneak up. Maybe they can slip through and grab number 2. And then our heavy footmen down here on the lower left, they'll grab 3 right away. And then they just need to hang on and keep those guys at bay. Remember, in order to win, you just need to control more objective markers at the end of 4 turns than your enemies. Starting with the player that won the deployment roll-off, that's our goblins. We're going to go ahead and nominate him first. Before he does anything, he is going to instigate and move these 3 units up. They get a bonus move, and then we're going to move, well, I guess he has to go first, right? So we'll bring him over here. A lot of crazy fast units on the board means we get right into it. Bossman lets these 3 units move up 3 inches, and then he comes around to here. This movement is part of his instigator ability. The Dark Elves counter, same thing. The leader gives 3 units, Raptor Knight, Raptor Knight, Raptor Knight, regeneration on this turn, and then moves up to hide there. So that's 1, 2, 3. Now the goblins have to commit, and this is what's wonderful about this. Oh, the goblin, we're not going to move the goblin bows just yet. We want to force those cold ones to come up into range for the shot. So the goblins will move their boing boing guys to try to slow this guy down. Now those little boing boing guys, they need to roll a d3. They can move, well, that's only going to be 2 inches. Well, for us, it's 1 inch to start. They go boing up the 1 inch, and then they can move for real. The wolves race over here to give some support over on the right, thinking that they're out of charge range. The Dark Elves move up to here in order to seize number 4, and then the goblins have a difficult choice to make. Do they want to move these guys up to seize this? I think that's probably the best bet. Wherever you go, you're going to be in a little bit of trouble. You don't want to give up the initiative, so we'll bring those swords guys up and see what happens. We move the goblin spear boys up first, which will allow the foot spear to charge in, but the Dark Elves are going to hold off. They say, you know what, I really want these guys to commit. So the first thing we'll do is we'll move, now remember, these Cold One Riders have a total move of 8 inches. So we can bring this guy up, and we may actually be able to do some damage. We don't want to give these guys a free shot, though. So why don't we bring him up to here, and then we've got 2 more inches of movement. That's not quite going to be enough. That's about as far as he's going to be able to make it, which will allow these Goblin Riders to come up about 6 inches to there, I think, and then they're going to be able to take a shot. Range of 9 inches, that's going to be 3 attacks at 5 up. Defending, normally he'd be defending on 4s, but because they're shooting across the hedge, we'll give him the 3. So we get a total of 1 hit, and then he defends on a 1, he misses, but remember, he's got regen, and he fails the regen. So he takes 1 shot, which earns him a wound, and he has to roll his check. We'll roll the red die, adding 1 to this roll, hoping, and with the 7, he is wiped out. First blood, nice shooting for the goblins. That does open up the route for this. For what it's worth, it'll let this guy swing around to right here, and he's going to be able to seize objective number 5 if he can hold it. Eager to avenge the death of his brother, the other Raptor Knight moves up, half an inch short if he charges the 6 inches, but remember, he's fast. He gets an extra 2 inches of movement, so he will strike home against these wolves / cave beasts. He only gets 1 attack as a Raptor Knight at a quality of 3 up, but he has a lance, so he gets AP 2, and he has, what's the other ability he has? Devour, that's what it was, and Impact 1, that's a lot of stuff. Roll X dice when attacking, after charging. For each 2 up, the target takes 1 hit. Oh boy, that's a lot going on here. So he's going to charge, and we roll 1 die for that, which is a hit. Then because he has Impact 1, he gets to roll another die with a 1 that's going to be a miss. But He also has Devour, which says whenever this model attacks in melee, roll a die. On a 6-up, the target takes 1 wound. So we need to roll 1 extra. I think that's for the mount. With a result of a 4, we're only going to land 1 wound. That wound will be at AP 2. So we make a defense roll for the Cave Beast, and he's only going to be successful on a 6. With the result of a, well, let me roll it here where you can see it. With the result of a 3, he fails. One of the Cave Beasts goes down. The other 2 Cave Beasts now get a chance to counterattack. They've only got a quality 5, and they're going to score 1 hit. Now remember, this guy has regeneration as well. But he has a defense of 4. So with a 6, he saves. Doesn't even need the regen. The last move for the goblins, we'll see these 3 goblins move up to about here. They need to stay within a half an inch of objective marker number 1, or they won't claim it. And that means the last action of the day is going to be by this unit of, let me just tuck that out of the way. These 3 foot guys are charging the guys on Wolfback. And that is 3 spears attacking with a quality of 4. We get a total of 2 hits. On the Wolf Riders have a defense of 5. And they're going to score 1 success and lose 1 figure. Then they get to counterattack, and they don't get their special ability for charging, I don't believe. Beast Riders with hand weapons, they get 1 attack, and all they have is Fearless, which says when they fail a morale test. Well, we're not going to worry about that just yet. First, let's roll to see what they do. With a quality of 5, they're going to score 2 hits. The Dark Warriors have a defense of 5, and they are going to save 1 and lose a guy. So we'll pull him off, and that's where we're at. And then, you know what I forgot? When the battle is over, you got to pull back. Who has to fall back? I think the guys that charged fall back, don't they? Yeah, the charging unit has to move back a half an inch. They will not fall back. They are still going to contest number 3. I forgot, when you destroy a unit, you get a inch and a half change, follow-up move. These guys could have rushed over a little bit further or something like that. This Raptor unit has to fall back the 1 inch. So that's really what's going to happen. That's going to be the end of round 1. And at the end of each round, if an army is down to half or less of its starting units, which we're not, so we go back to, and this D8, I've left it on the table. This is my turn counter. We move on to turn number 2. And on the subsequent turn, I think the guy that ran out first gets to go first. But before we get to that, objective marker 3 is contested. The score is 2 to the goblins to 2 to the dark elves. The goblins do get to go first. We're going to move these guys first. We'll bring them to here. Maybe we'll lead this guy on a merry chase. Maybe open up some avenues for these wolves to get away from the rider. They will have enough to shoot at this guy. Quality 5, taking 3 shots. They're only going to get 1 hit. He is going to save on a 4 or better. He does not get regen this time, but he makes his save. And he says, I'm game. Let's follow up. He's going to get to make his... So once again, we have that same odd situation. The rider hits on a 3 or better. He's quality 3. He's got a lance that hits on a 2 or better. It automatically does 1 wound. And then Devour means on a 6, take 1 wound. So I don't think you get a defense roll for these 2. So black 6, white 3, blue 2. That's what we're looking for. So the blue is a hit, the black is a miss, and the blue is also a hit. So 1 wound removes a figure. Wow, this guy's tough. The 4, we have to make a defense roll. The Beast Riders have a defense of 5 up, and he gets a 5, so that's going to be it. Just the 1 wound. That wasn't great. Now the goblins have already attacked, so they're only going to hit back on 6s. They're fatigued, but we might as well roll it. Ooh, they get the 1 hit. No regen this time. And with a 4, the Raptor Knight will defend, and he has to fall back 1 inch to there. Then the Boing Boing guys. It's probably a mistake to use that Raptor Knight. Since these guys had already gone, we could have saved that guy to the end of the game. We should have chased these wolves down with this other Raptor Knight. It being the goblins' turn, maybe instead do we get these guys to safety, or do we charge home with our boss man? The concern is that if we use the boss man, then the Dark Lord is going to be able to move in. We're going to use the boss man. And the big reason for that is that he can allow these guys to move an extra 3 inches right now, and that'll let them get into this field on their turn. So we bring him up. He's going to go ahead and charge into combat. And I'll move these guys 3, and we'll reset and take a look at what that combat looks like. The boss has 4 attacks with his hand weapons, hitting on 5s. The mount gets an attack. That's going to be the blue die for the mount with an AP of 1, also hitting on 5s. These 2 are misses, so no AP 1, but we did score 3 hits on this Dark Knight, who has a defense of 4. He is going to save all 3, and then do we want to counterattack? I don't think we do. We're going to push him back 1 inch, and then we can follow up with a charge of our own, and we're right back to that situation, same as before, where we've got a black die and a white die that hit on a 6 and a 2 automatically. The white die automatically does 1 wound. Let me drop that down on him before I forget. And then the 6 is the hit, the champion there of the goblin leader. He's got a defense of 5, so he misses that. Does he have anything else going for him? He's got tough 3, so he's got that going for him. And tough means he only rolls to check wound effects once it's taken at least X wounds and is only knocked out. So he's taken 2 wounds. He hasn't taken his 3rd yet. He's not knocked out. And he gets to make a counterattack, but of course he's already attacked once, so he's only hitting on a 6. He misses, and he's going to have to fall back the 1.5 inches. What is the fallback? I've done it twice already. You'd think I'd have it completely memorized. Melee, the other unit will move, separate by 1/2 inch, so not quite that far. And let's just make sure we know who it is that's actually wounded. The Dark Elves are going to move their Corsairs. Now, this is where things get a little bit wonky. We can move them a total of 6 inches if we go around the hedge. So this guy moves 2 to there and then 4 up to here. So oddly enough, by kind of coming around, they can move a little bit further. We want to bring them up to here to give ourselves a little bit of flexibility and hopefully to stay out of charge range of these goblins. Now, the goblins can only move 6 inches if they jump across that hedge. That's the way that difficult terrain works. You can't move more than 3 inches. So the goblins say, well, that being the case, we'll move up to here for right now. And the deal with the goblins, they're playing a bit of a waiting game that I guess they're probably going to lose. Because over here, they don't want to charge these spearmen if they can help it. The spearmen have counter and get to attack first when they are charged. But the Dark Elves have 1 extra figure. And he's pretty safe where he is right now. All he can really do, we want to leave him back to defend this point. Because remember, you got to take 3 points. And this might be a good, valuable moment to kind of step back and look at things. Everybody's 2-2. The goblins are threatening a sweep around. Oh, I'm so clumsy. To take this. And then they can threaten to sweep around and take that. So they've put this Dark Rider in an awkward position. They also are sending pressure up the middle, whereas, the goblins are fast. They can get anywhere in a turn or 2, so it's still anybody's game. But at this point, I think we nominate him. And does he have any special abilities he can use? Just blood sacrifice. He's got 3 attacks. He's tough 3. We're just going to leave him back. He says, I'm good. Maybe we move him over here just a little bit more so that we can trigger him first and get regen on a couple of units. But that's really about all we need to do with him. And then the goblins have moved these, him, these, and they have to move these guys. They don't have to charge, though. They could just back off and wait. The other thing they can do, I didn't realize there's a gap in the hedge right there. They could charge into the Corsairs. That's going to be 2 attacks at quality 5. With a 4 and a 1, they're going to miss. Ooh, the Corsairs have not moved. They are going to counterattack. They're going to score a single hit. And defending on a defense of not going to do it. The Beast Rider is going to lose 1. Do they have... They don't have a sergeant, do they? All right, so it doesn't matter which one we take off. That's the only reason I ask. And now, finally, these surviving spear guys can move up to here. Remember, they have a sergeant. I should have rolled. He actually is at +1 when he attacks. It's all right. We'll get him next time. That's going to be the end of the turn. And this will be seized by the goblins. They are now in control of the game. What am I saying? These are dark elves. You can tell because they're taller and they don't smell as bad. Moving on to turn number 3, we'll adjust our turn counter to number 3. And the goblins get to move first once again. The goblins have to go first, so the boss charges into this knight. But before he does, he allows this wolf rider to move 3 inches down to right there, which is going to be a problem for the dark elves. That does not count as his move. In addition to that, remember these wolves, they're going to get to make a 3-inch move to here, and that causes some complications. But we need to do the fight. The boss is hitting on 5s. The blue die has AP 1. He rolls a total of nothing. And in this case, the Raptor Knight says, I'm happy to back off a 1/2 inch. I'm not going to attack you yet, because if I wait... Well, hold on. Does he want to charge home? There's no need to charge just yet, is there? Instead, we can use our boss to give these 2 units a little boost, a little regen, and then the boss is going to take the rest of his activity by charging over here and say, you can't have my point, fella. The Dark Noble gets 3 attacks with AP 1, hitting on 3s. He's going to score a total of 3 hits. And defending, that Spear Rider is going to be defending, let's see, he's got AP 1, but he's defending on 5. Actually, he needs 6s to save. He takes 3 wounds. And that means rolling a d6, adding 3, he gets a 6. He is going to be wiped out. And our Dark Noble now can make a follow-up move, and he's going to back off to, he can move 1.5 inches. We'll just put him like right here. We want to give ourselves a little more separation from those guys. Seeing that, the Wolf Riders are going to sweep around this way and see how close they can get to the Dark Noble. Getting this close will allow them to take, they can't shoot because they move too far. But the Dark Noble will have to deal with them. They may be able to challenge for this on the next turn. All I got to do is get close, right? That means our knight... do we want to bring the knight home? Or do we want to run these guys over here? That's the better bet. Let's bring these guys over here. We can seize this objective by running 3 inches like that. It does give up a little bit of... initiative to the goblins, but take a look at this. The goblins only have 2 options. Do we want to wait for him, right? So that means the only unit left for the goblins to move is over here, and they're going to have to commit. Given the lay of the land, they will go ahead and move. Well, they can move crazy fast if they put their minds to it. That 6 counts as 12, and then they get 2 more inches. We're going to bring them to here, because they will be in a position to challenge for either that objective or this objective marker. And all they got to do is challenge. If these guys run up to seize that one, they can come over, right? This is definitely a game of maneuver. I think all of the terrain plays into the Dark Elves' hands more than the Goblins. They can't move as much as they want to. But the Dark Elves now have to commit. Are you going to ride him over here? And risk those archers coming back into play? I think you do. Let's... I can only move 3 inches, though. And he's too far away to reach these goblins, so we'll set him up for a very flexible turn. How about right about there? How about right about here? That looks pretty good. We'll set him up for the next turn. On turn number 4, he's got a lot of options. And that will allow these wolves to first make their bonus move. And once again, they're only going to get to move 1 inch to start. But then they can make their... So 1 inch will take them to here. And then, 3 inches, they can't quite get over the hedge. They really needed that little bonus movement. Remember, the hedge counts as difficult terrain. You can only move 3 inches if you're crossing it. If they just rolled a little bit higher, they could be here and in place to grab that. That's going to be, although it does keep them safe from being charged by that Dark Knight. With 2 more units, we'll go ahead and grab this with the spear guys. And then shifting our attention just a little bit over here, we do have one more Dark Rider who we're going to slam home against the big boss. Remember, a 6 on the black die is a wound, a 2 or better on the white die is a wound, and we're attacking with, I don't remember, I think it's 4 or better. And we're going to get 1 wound automatically on the big boss. That's with the lance. The big boss now has 3 wounds, and he's going to have to make his... I think I forgot to do this. He's going to have to make his morale check at the end of the turn. I guess he just passed it, but this is the end of the turn. The big boss has attacked. He's going to get to make 1 attack, hitting on a 6 because he's fatigued. He doesn't get it, and that means that this old boy... Well, wait a minute. I got to roll to see what happens to the big boss. He is tough. He scores a 5... which will make him, let me just make sure I'm doing this right, 330, with 2 plus 3 for the wounds he's taken. He is now shaken, and he's at -1, halves movement, cannot seize objectives, but the cold rider, the lizard rider has to back off just a little bit. That's the end of turn number 3, and we do have a couple of objective markers that change. From green to purple, it's now a clean sweep, 5-0 to the Dark Elves. And we have to move these sword guys. You got to grab this objective over here. We're going to pull them as far away as possible. They got to be within a half an inch of this objective. And because of these guys, they have the luxury of waiting. The Dark Elves now have an opportunity to put this leader down once and for all. We'll bring the Cold Rider in, and we'll do the exact same thing, the 6 and the 2 up. So the 2 up is a hit, the 4 is a hit, that adds a wound, and the 4 is going to be saved by the... Well, wait a minute, he's shaken, right? So that means he's got a -1 to his defense roll. His defense is a 6 at this point. Oh, and I think that might also be... no, it's just an attack of 1. That lance... Oh, he's AP2, so that is absolutely 2 more wounds that he's got to take, and he's going to be eliminated for sure. That's going to allow that cold one to make a 3-inch consolidation move, and we're going to bring him for sure... Well, it's only 1.5 inches in this game, but we'll bring him down here just for giggles. And then the goblins have to go. They've only got 2 units that are capable of going at this point. One of them is these, and we can... The other one is those wolves back there. Let's charge... Well, we could shoot at the leader too, We can ride up here to contest. And then... So this is now under... it's contested. Nobody controls it. We can take 2 shots at the fearless leader. It's a bit of a Hail Mary. We get a single hit, and the leader is going to fail. And on his... Oh, look at that. Oh, no, you know what? He takes his first wound. He doesn't take a morale check until he takes 3 wounds. In retrospect, that might have been a mistake. We might have been better off trying to take him out, because that would have freed up these guys to seize this objective marker. But honestly, I think that's the game. I think that I don't see any way that the goblins can win this. The goblins have gone, so that means the Dark Elves have to go, and they can't really have any effect on anybody. They're too far away. These guys, by getting to within half an inch, they contest for that one, so nobody scores that one. The goblins don't have it. The goblins don't have this one. The only one the goblins can grab is this one over here. And this Cold Knight will be able to charge in. And even if he dies, the score of the game will be 1 for the goblins. That's the best they can do. To 1, 2 for the dark elves. So oddly enough, the goblins got outmaneuvered on this one. I'm not going to play the rest of this turn because it's pretty obvious that there's no way for the goblins to win. And saves us a little bit of time. And like I said, I think the big mistake here was that the goblins just putting too much terrain down. The goblins didn't have the freedom of movement that they needed to be able to threaten to seize multiple objectives on a single turn. And also, it doesn't matter if you threaten multiple objectives if you're going to get your teeth kicked in regardless of which one you hit. If I did anything wrong, if I'm missing any kind of strategy on this one, if you think you could do better than me, let me know down in the comments, would you? Till next time, I'm praying for you.